So there are lots of ways you can study decision making in sport. We've got a large set of data now where you can look at sort of thousands of contests where people, thanks to the internet, have coded in all sorts of interesting and elaborate ways outcomes of games, events in games, and so on. And that provides a very rich source of data for studying, well, not sport per se, but decision making generally. I mean, sport's a kind of test bed for some of the things that you can look at. And indeed, we organize a conference every 2 years. There's a conference on the psychology and economics of football, and that's principally focused on judgment and decisions that you can evaluate via the data that's now available about football. So one of the things I've looked at is evidence for sort of judgmental errors in association with football. And there's a famous phenomenon that many people will have heard of, I think, called the hot hand fallacy in basketball, which is this idea that I gather is very common in, we don't have that game here so much as you do in the States, but it's very prevalent in reports of that game. I now see from reading them that people believe that if a player has scored with his last 2 or 3 scoring attempts, he's hot, and therefore more likely to score with his next attempt. And rather famously, some time ago now, that was shown to be a fallacy, and indeed, players are not likely to score having just scored. There's not really any kind of association of the kind which is very commonly perceived by players, coaches, and fans. Even the experts seem to believe in it. So we've looked at similar things in soccer, and are players more likely to score if they scored in their last few games? Another little belief, I call them commentator cliches, because they're often repeated when the critical events occur. So one of them is a goal scored just before the halftime interval more impacting on the outcome of the game than a goal scored at any other time? And this is very commonly believed. The evidence for this is actually very hard to find. So we've looked at games where the score was 1-0 at halftime. There was one goal. Does it matter when that goal was scored during the half? You could imagine it might, because players might go in at half-time, if they've only just scored or conceded a goal, the emotions from that event are still going to be very prevalent, and they're about to go into effectively a sort of little conference in their dressing room to talk about what to do next, and that event may well shape the game, but actually it's very hard to find any evidence for that.